Hi everyone, welcome to Life Tips by Ning. In today's video, I'm sharing how to analyze a Bazi chart if your daily master is a Yin Fire, called Ding in Chinese, looking like this, born in the spring season. Let's begin by sharing the characteristics of a Yin Fire. It represents candlelight or moonlight, so it gives off this softer, gentle glow. Even though both Yang Fire and Yin Fire share the same traits of a fire element, it's all about giving out brightness and warmth. But how they show up are quite different because of the contrasting yin and yang energy. So the Yang Fire, as we shared in the previous series for Yang Fire people, they're more about intensity and vibrancy. That's the keyword for the Yang energy. In comparison, Yin Fire is showing off the strengths of Yin, which is more about rather reserved, inward energy and softer, gentler glow. It makes people feeling quite comfortable. One example I can think of is during the noon time, we step out, nobody will stare at the sun, it will hurt your eyes. But during nighttime, people actually enjoy the peaceful feeling, the calmness of looking at the moon because it's very soft and gentle. So that's the strength of a Yin Fire. In terms of how it show up in people's personality, Yin Fire people are very talented. They like to gradually influence other people by gently convincing their unique value or thought to others. So eventually it'll become super infectious and people will follow you and follow your belief system. So you eventually build a lot of supporters and just people, followers. That's why a lot of the world leaders are Yin Fire type of daily master. But everything has two sides. So the other side of the coin for Yin energy is it can be quite sensitive and too much thought and monkey business in your head. And sometimes you have doubts and a lot of doubts. So it's the same thing as like a candlelight is easily flickers, and more sensitive to the environment it lives in. So coming back to the Bazi structure, how to analyze Bazi is we think of it as a stage or environment. The focal point is this daily master. The first question we need to understand is what is the strength of this focal point? The second is how can the remaining 7 letters collaborate with each other so that it can build the optimum stage for this focal point person to show off its strength? And then once you meet those requirements, it's a fairly good Bazi chart. And then if you're missing something, that's how we say, oh, you need this favorable element to regain the balance or correcting some minor defects on that stage or for that environment. So going back to that first question, what is the strength of a Yin Fire? It's all about sustainably and consistently giving out warmth. And why does it exist in nature? I would say the number one usage of a Yin Fire is to melt and refine precious metal. Because metal doesn't like Yang Fire, it's too strong, you'll melt it. It really needs this Yin Fire to gradually refine it and change it from something kind of ugly rock, like a mineral rock you just dig out from a mountain, into like a very delicate and beautiful metal that's useful. So the meaning of a Yin Fire is to elevate and refine another objects. Knowing those as major strengths, then we're going to move on to what are some of the combinations out there that enables it to do its job. So that's why the number one favorable element would be wood, because not only wood will consistently supply, because wood grows fire, it'll make this Yin Fire kind of being steadily glow and do its job. So that's kind of its number one friend he really wants. on the condition you're position number 6, because spring's dominant element would be wood, so you're already at a very good advantage of having a strong wood foundation. The moment you have another wood showing up on the top row, you're making that wood's chi more steady and stronger to be super useful. And you also kind of diversify your position. So if you only rely on one wood, what if you have some sort of a collision happening during the annual 10-year trend? Then you're gonna run into troubles in life. But if you have another wood on the top row or a separate wood for position 5, 7, 8, you kind of diversify your situation. So if one guy get damaged, you have one or two other people to rely on. So it's a fairly good Bazi chart. How about water? So I'm just gonna go through the remaining elements. Water wouldn't be a good friend. It's actually neutral to a kind of dislike type of relationship, because unlike the Yang fire, Yin fire doesn't have that need to use water to show off its vibrancy. If anything, too much water suppresses a Yin fire, it'll make it weak. And another thing is, too much water will dampen the wood, and we know that there's no way we can ignite a wet wood to start a fire. That's why water is not so much of a favorable energy for Yin fire. And I mentioned wood is good. How about fire? Another like a fire type of root or the same Yin fire type is fine. It will be neutral to favorable. The one caution is too much Yang fire, especially positionally at 2 or 4, because Yang fire will cover up the beauty of a Yin fire. Yang fire is too bright, it's gonna steal the spotlight. And kind of you put a very bright light bulb next to a softer candlelight, nobody will notice the candlelight. So it doesn't like Yang fire as much. And the remaining two elements are earth and metal. Again, fire just generally does not like too much earth, especially dry earth type, because it will cover up the warmth and brightness of the fire. Metal is a secondary favorable friend because it enables this Yin fire to do its job. That's the point of its existence. On the condition this Yin fire is fairly strong, I have this extra energy, then if you introduce a comparable amount of metal in your Bazi chart, it'll make the Yin fire really happy because it makes itself useful to refine the metal and do something meaningful. That's why the book says out of all those 3 birth months during spring, the number 1 favorable element would be wood, especially young wood, because it grows fire. The secondary favorable element would be metal, especially young metal, because it enables Yin fire to refine a big nugget of metal to become precious metal. But in terms of relationship between the two, I would say young wood is primary and young metal would be secondary. You don't want to see this young metal having lopsided strength that dominant this young wood, because at the end of the day, metal cuts wood. If this strength is too strong, it actually trims the number 1 friend to be so weak that it doesn't do its job of growing fire. So that's why the dosage and relationship is quite important in Bazi chart analysis. Primary young wood and secondary young metal. Then the last question is, how about Yin Wood? Would that still work? My answer is having Yin Wood is better than not having wood at all. But between Yang and Yin Wood is more preferred. The reason is we said Yin Wood is more like a little grass or flower. The moment you hit water, they burn out. They're not going to do that same job of kind of a dried tree branches to feed into the fire, because Yin Wood will not consistently give that sustainable support. And another reason Yang Wood is more preferred than Yin Wood is that on the risk, you have probably too much moisture or water in your chart. Yin Wood will kind of be more likely to be dampened, and you just have a harder time igniting it compared to a Yang Wood. It's a more bigger body and more dense wood, so it's less likely to be affected by this moisture. That's kind of how we analyze it, but honestly, I, I would say the book says this is the ideal answer. But you might say, what if my Basel chart, I cannot find Yang Wood anywhere? Does that mean I have a bad life or something? The answer is no. We can still have to refine and to restore the balance and think about your unique environment. For example, if you have, like, for this March birth month, because the dominant chi is a Yin Wood type of earthy branch, so position number 6 is a Yin Wood type. And then on the top row, you have 1 or 2 Yin Wood. On the bottom row, you still have another Yin Wood. Even though I don't have the ideal answer, I keep on feeding this grass into burning fire. It won't last long, but I have a lot. The quantity is quite a bit, and I keep on feeding it to me to the fire. And in addition, I'm also lucky to have this annual or 10-year trend that have this wood and fire energy to support myself. That is still a really good Bazi chart. So that's just, I'm sharing a random example to say there are multiple ways to come up with the answer. Even though the book said this is the perfect answer, there are multiple scenarios that we can play with. So thank you for watching today, and I will see you next time. Bye.